Welcome everyone to another compromise interview. Today I have a special guest with me, Councilman Allen, but my good friend Andre Allen. Welcome to the show, my man.
I appreciate you having me,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Appreciate
Yes,
you
sir.
having me. You looking good, man.
Hey, looking at you, man.
Hey, I try. I knew I was gonna be on set with you, so I was like, let me throw my good jacket on.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So before we get into it too much, man, let me understand a little bit of your background. I obviously know it, but for the viewers, just give us a quick rundown of where you come from, starting as early as you want.
Yeah, sure. So, lifelong Peorian, graduated from Peoria Public Schools, graduated from Richards High School, class of 2007. After high school, went to Illinois Central College for 2 years. It was a great experience for me because when I ultimately transferred to finish my bachelor's, was a little more mature. I think if I would have went away to school right after high school, I would have been home that next semester. And so I did 2 years at Illinois Central College, transferred to Eastern Illinois University, home of a Casey's Pizza and a Walmart, but it was a good college experience for
real?
me. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Charleston, Illinois. But it was a good experience there. So there, I finished my bachelor's degree, communication studies, minor in business. Got very involved on campus, served in a number of leadership roles, president of Black Student Union. I was involved in a lot of different other auxiliary groups as well too. That allowed me to get the opportunity to get a graduate assistantship as an academic advisor working for an alternative admissions program called the Gateway Program. It was for students who had the ACT to get into the school but didn't have the GPA or vice versa. And they had to meet with academic advisors to help them with campus resources and make sure they were, matriculating through the school. And that's honestly who I was. I was a guy coming out of high school. I got a 16 on ACT twice. And so I didn't mention that, but that's the reason why I had to go to ICC because I didn't have a choice, right? And so I had the opportunity to then work with students just like me who wanted to go to college, had some academic challenges, were first generation college attendees. And so I got a chance to support them. And so I got that. And honestly, it was a blessing because I was someone who never saw myself pursuing anything past my bachelor's. And here I am, I was able to get a master's for free and then work with a population of students that was just like me. So I fell in love with this career of higher education. I did that role for about 2 years. And then while I was pursuing my master's, I knew my wife in undergrad, but I definitely was out of her league. And then she came back for grad school, and I ended up shooting my shot, and it went in. And so her and I started dating, and then we ultimately now are married and 3 kids later. So me getting my master's and getting that experience in higher education and ultimately meeting my wife, it was a great experience. So I got ready to graduate from Eastern Illinois with my master's and completed my assistantship, got hired at Illinois State University. And then we found out we were expecting as well too. So we moved back to the area. I lived in Peoria for a little bit and I was commuting. And then she ended up getting hired in housing at Illinois State. So then we moved to Illinois State University. I worked as an academic advisor there. She worked in housing. We did that for a little while and I enjoyed it, but I had this, I don't know, it was something drawing me back to Peoria. And it wasn't just me driving back to meet my parents and stuff like that too, but I was just kind of seeing things on Facebook about, Peoria being the worst place for African Americans. And I think that was that Wall Street Journal article in 2016. And I'm someone who I don't want to be a keyboard warrior. I want to roll up my sleeves and get to work. And so I prayed on it and I said, God, if you get me back to Peoria, I want to do more than just go to work and go home. And so an opportunity presented itself to work at Methodist College. They had just moved out to the shops of Grand Prairie, the old American Furniture, where I got my Toshiba laptop from when I went to ICC, right? I think it's probably as big as this desk. And I got that role, and it was a great opportunity, not only professionally, but also personally. My wife and the oldest at the time, they were able to be back in Peoria, surrounded by my family, my friends, but also I was able to get involved in the community. And that ultimately allowed me to be where I am today, And so I'm very fortunate to be back in Peoria and doing what I love and serving my community.
I love it. I appreciate that. That was a good rundown. It's funny because you mentioned the importance of ICC and what foundation that creates to allow you to succeed more. I thought about my experience because I went to ICC as well. But the funny thing is that you mentioned that had you not had that experience, you might have had a different outcome as you moved on. I went to I had one stop before ICC, which was another junior college. and I failed. I failed out and had to move back home
Yeah.
because my mind wasn't it wasn't mature enough.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, when I transferred, it wasn't my first beer. It wasn't my first time staying out past 10. So when I got to Eastern, and a lot of students also need to realize when you transfer, your GPA starts over. And so when I transferred to Eastern, my GPA started over. I was away from some of those hometown distractions, and I did well enough to even get into a graduate program. So I definitely promote going to the community college, especially ICC, and I'm actually on the Peoria Promise board, supporting students to go there. But it was a great experience, and I owe ICC a lot.
Yeah, I didn't think about that GPA thing, and the fact that you do pick up an associate's on the way. If you go right to like a 4-year, you're not getting that, so that's important too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into too much of the discussion, I have a question that I tend to ask a lot of my friends.
Sure.
It's an ongoing debate. It's if you could pick one song that represents hip hop, and you would consider the hip hop anthem. What's that song?
I would say Naughty by Nature, Hip Hop Hooray.
Oh, okay.
And
Why is that?
I just think about it as a kid, seeing the video, what those guys meant to the culture, just the rawness. And so when I just think of hip hop, I think of Hip Hop Hooray. Just as like an anthem. But I mean, there's so many others who have obviously contributed to it. I don't get in the car and be like, hey, put that Naughty by Nature on. But when I think of, again, a hip hop anthem, I think you could put that song anywhere and 95% of the people understand that. I would say Constellation Prize, None But a G Thing by Snoop Dogg is probably synonymous with hip hop anthems.
Yeah.
DMX Rough Rider anthem as well too, so Rough Rider. So but I would go with that hip hop hooray.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, because when I ask the question, it's not. I ask it as an anthem.
Yeah.
But the way that because I've never had it answered deliberately like that, to say an anthem, and those are great picks. In my mind, when I always ask it, it's like, what do you think is like the song that you pick is the number one?
Mm-hmm.
So those are good choices.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So if I said, in addition to that question, if you had only one hip hop song to listen to for the rest of your life, what is that?
Master P, Make 'Em Say That video, the song is amazing, but the video at the time, I don't know if you remember, he had the tank, they were playing basketball, they were dunking. No Limit at the time was just, they were amazing. They literally, like what he did in that era, but to Make 'Em Say, that song and that video, I could bump that all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
That song and video was the thing that took Master P from True.
Yeah. True. Come on, Al. Come
to
on.
what
Yeah.
No Limit was at that time. So
Yeah. Shout out to P, man.
Yes.
He lived a lot of lives, man. He was an entrepreneur, a rapper, played in the NBA, got a cup of coffee, and he's still doing big things, man. Shout out to P.
Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah.
He played, right?
Played at Toronto, and he had a little bid with the Hornets too, Charlotte Hornets at the time.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. Okay. Well, let's get into a little bit about what you do for
Sure.
the community. You and I were talking a little bit before this. We met when we were both serving on different governing boards and advisory committees, and I knew then that we would eventually see each other again.
Sure.
I stepped away a little bit for my family and all that.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yep, and some people are fortunate enough to balance both, and I won't say that you're lucky, but you've worked hard to be able to balance both. So, tell me a little bit about the importance of community involvement and the way that you've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, I really wanted to get back to Peoria, and I prayed on it, and I said, God, if you get me back to Peoria, I'm going to do more than just go to work and go home. And again, that was what I wanted to do. Like you said, you had to step back because of family and everything of that nature. But that was just my personal choice of what I wanted to do if I got back to Peoria. And so it's funny, I got involved with the Peoria Public Schools Foundation, where I met you through. Mm-hmm. And I literally saw my cousin, she got tagged in their Facebook post speaking at a school. And I hit her up and I said, I said, how you get asked to go to a school? And she was like, oh, I'm volunteering through the Peoria Public Schools Foundation. They have this program called the Horizons Club. So I literally, like the kids said, I slid in the DM of the Peoria Public Schools Foundation Facebook page, asked how I could get involved. I was like, hey, I'm an alumni. I'm back in the area. I would love to just come and share my story with kids. I think it kind of resonate, And they said, sure. And they gave me a list of schools to go to. And one of those schools was my alma mater, Sterling Middle School. Yep. And I went and started, talking to the kids, and I started doing that a little bit more frequent. And I would always pick Sterling because, again, that's where I went, and that's where I felt like I could resonate with those kids. And I made relationships with the principal and the counselor. And I remember their counselor, who's amazing, one of the best counselors in business. Shout out to Casey Ahmad. She came up to me and she said, hey, you want to start a mentoring program for fifth graders? I said, sure. I don't know nothing about mentoring programs, but again, my passion was there. And again, I said, you know what? These kids are just like me. They're from the same neighborhood I grew up in. And so let's do it. And so me and a couple of my buddies, we started that. We called it the Jaguar Squad. We did that for about 4 years. I share that story, though, is because when I started doing that, people started noticing, like, wow, this guy and his friends, they're mentoring these kids, they're taking them on field trips. We're trying to really leverage our relationships because we don't have a lot of money. All of us have young families, but we're leveraging our relationships to be able to take these kids on field trips and things of that nature. And then I started getting asked to join a committee or join a board, be at the table for discussions, and people wanted my opinion. And then I was also fortunate at the time, I was at Methodist for about a year, and we went through a reorganization, and I was promoted to Dean of Students. And that was a game changer for me, John. I was about 27, 28 when that happened. And now I went from more of an entry-level role to being in senior leadership. And not only did it give me the professional experience and the confidence, but also it gave me the credibility in the community that when I was at the table for some of those discussions and I'm introducing myself as Andre Allen, Dean of Students at Methodist College, it hit different. Mm-hmm. It really did. Yeah. And so I was very fortunate to have that professional experience. So that's why I'm always indebted to Methodist College for what it did for me. And so as I was getting on boards and committees and things of that nature, I had a mentor of mine, and he was saying, you should consider running for city council. And I'm like, city council? I don't know nothing about city council. I mean, I'm not cut from the political cloth. I'm someone who worked his way up through community service, community engagement. I don't come from a super political family. My parents have always voted, but no one that I know has been a precinct committee person or elected official or anything like that before. So I immediately was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And the next thing you know, I was knocking on doors trying to get signatures. Yeah. And so that was my first race in 2019. That race was very competitive. There was a number of incumbents running. Our then mayor, or our now mayor, Dr. Rita Ali, she was in that race as well, too. There was 17 of us going for 5 spots at one point. A few people got their petitions challenged, so it ended up going to 14 of us. And there was a primary election to dwindle us down to 10. And I was number 14 on the ballot because I turned my petitions in so late because, again, I was talking myself out of it. And the primary we had no money, but we just worked hard, John. We just worked hard, and we said we're going to be the most known candidate on social media at the time. And that's what we did. And I didn't even realize that the results come in like throughout the day or throughout the evening on election day for the primary. And so me and my family were out to eat, and people are calling me, and they're like, Dre, bro, you went fifth. I'm like, what? Where are you seeing this at, right? So I go to the website, Election Commission, and I'm like, whoa, I'm really in 5th place. And it was me and now Councilman Kelly, who I serve with. We were duking it out for 5th and 6th, and I ended up edging him out in the primary, and I came in 5th. And I remember everybody made a huge deal of it because it was like, who is this Andre Allen guy, in this race with all these incumbents and notable people? Who is this guy? And we took that momentum into the general election. I ended up coming up short. I came in 6th, lost by 402 votes, but it demonstrated that we belonged in the space. And then over those next 2 years, I decided to stay involved. I still had my mentoring program. I still served on my boards. And that's something that's very important. And I stress to young people that if it doesn't work out the first time, take your time to, obviously recalibrate your emotions and get back to a mental space where you can get back out there, but never give up. Because that race set me up for 2021. My predecessor, he decided not to rerun for the seat. He ran for mayor, Jim Montalago, who's our current city treasurer. And so the seat was open. And so I ran for it along with a couple others. And ultimately, we ended up getting elected. And that was May of 2021, and then I got reelected this past spring. So now I'm in my second term. So I'm a young OG around the horseshoe a little bit as well too. So it's been a great experience. I love being on the city council, but also it allowed me to be set up for my day job, which a lot of people don't realize. City council members, those are part-time jobs. Majority of us still have full-time jobs, and so. In 22, Peoria County government created a chief diversity, equity, inclusion role. And I saw it and I said, based off of where I felt my career was going and my passion for helping the community, although I loved my experience at Methodist, I felt that this was the right pivot for me. I applied for it, and it's been great. You know, it was a role for me to be able to not only help Peoria, but help our county, really define what diversity, equity, inclusion means for our county. And we work on things such as workforce participation goals for major projects, recruitment and retention. We want to have a workforce that mirrors the constituents that we're serving, external stakeholder engagement. So whether that's sponsorships or whether that's different pilot programs that we've launched. We've recently launched a digital equity program where we've got 42 people getting their internet service subsidized by a grant that we got from the state of Illinois, because we know broadband access has always been a challenge, especially for the affordability aspect of it as well too. So I'm very blessed to be in this duality of working for the county, being an elected official for the city, and serving the community that I grew up in.
Yeah, quite the 180, huh?
Yeah.
From where you started.
Yeah, yeah.
Us outsiders get to look at that and see the dedication, commitment to reaching one goal. It's not the end goal, certainly for you, but it's one goal. But we're detached from it emotionally.
Yeah.
You spoke to it a little bit, recalibrate your emotions and all that. How tough was that to come up short that first year and then convince yourself that you're going to try it again?
It was very tough, but you don't know what you don't know, right? But it was very tough. Like I said, I came in fifth, and there was a lot of momentum going into the general election. So I ended up hosting a watch party shout out to the Bullpen Sports Bar at Landmark. I had good relationships with Jason Langzotti and Shay Ward and those guys. And they let me throw a watch party there. The news is there. The Journal Star is there because they think like this guy could win. And I was in fifth or sixth throughout the whole night. So the results are kind of battling. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. And then I remember the final results come in and I lose. Excuse me. And the news guy comes up. He goes, Andre, you came up short. Now, how do you feel? And he throws the mic in my hand, right? And I immediately go, man, I ain't gonna lie, I'm salty, right? And I was like, hold on. Get it together. And so I got it together and gave an interview, shouted out to everybody who won, all the incumbents, and congratulated them. And after he got off that mic, man, I don't know if you remember, you're a Michael Jordan fan, so Michael Jordan getting carried off of the sidelines by Scottie Pippen during the flu game. My wife carried me man, I had her take me out of the party. I went in the hallway where that barbershop is at Landmark, and I cried. I cried. But I had to let it out, though. And the one thing I wanted to do, though, because there was so much notoriety for our campaign, is I wanted to lose with grace. And I had a mentor of mine call me and say, be a good loser. And I appreciated that. And I wanted to show Peoria that even if you don't win, it's okay. I didn't get on Facebook and do all this. I congratulated everybody and I moved on. And because I handled that with what I feel with a level of humility and grace, it allowed me to ultimately get my goal. So it wasn't denied, it was just delayed.